All right, welcome back to another episode of the show. I am your host, Lindsay Hack, and I am so excited to have another fabulous guest on with us today. And no intro for me needed, because I am going to get your introduction to us. Let us know who you are, why you're here, and why we're to listening to you today. So welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, Lindsay. I'm really happy to be speaking here today. I'm Elsewine Rietveld and I'm from the Netherlands, and I work as a confidence trainer, and I help experts get out of their head and overthinking and really feel calm and confident when they speak to their audience. And that audience can be one person. So it could be a sales conversation you have, or speaking in a meeting, maybe disagreeing with your boss if you are employed, speaking on camera, recorded or live, and speaking from stage. So that is what I help experts with. And what I hear a lot of my clients say is that they say no to opportunities. So they get the opportunity to speak at an event or at an online event, or sometimes even paid, but definitely in a place where their ideal audience is at, or where the people in their line of work that they love to inspire and speak to. And then they say no because they feel like I will freeze up, or what if I stumble off my words, or who is interested in what I have to say? All these thoughts. So when you're listening to this, maybe you have them. I had them. So I now train people in this since 2013, but I totally didn't start out this way. So I don't know if you want me to go into a little bit of backstory, Lindsay, or did
Yes,
you have questions
I would
first?
love that. Yeah, I would love that. I mean, first of all, obviously, welcome. I'm so excited to have you here. The audience of people that watch this is very much women entrepreneurs, executive coaches, that kind of stuff. So a lot of people do struggle, and it's interesting because I've been speaking on stages for multiple years, and of course, you always get that little nerves, a little bit of shakety shakes going on, but I never once gave up an opportunity because of that. And so when you say that people do, that just suggests how important and how much value your work with people is, because I can't even imagine having somebody give up an opportunity, especially if they love talking about it. So I'm excited to talk about that, but let's start with, take us back, because I know a little bit about your background, but take us back to how you kind of got here where you currently are, with kind of your background on where you started.
Yeah, excellent. So I'll try to be a little bit concise because it can be like a long story, but I'll try to take you through it, and take the essential bits out of it. So this started when I was 18, and I failed my exams because I had so much stress, fear of failure, and fear of tests. And somehow, that year, I was so stressed. I couldn't eat. I ended up in the hospital with an inflammation. And now I know why a lot of stress does this to our body. But back then, I was like, oh, why in my exam year am I like in the first, in the Netherlands, we had 3 rounds of pre-exams, half year's note, and then the finals combined. And I was already starting back because the first round I was in the hospital. So anyway, why does this happen to me? And my mom somehow found someone who was a kinesiologist. I don't know if you've heard of that before, or if you're listening, you're like, what is kinesiology? It's applied kinesiology. So it doesn't have to do with the study of movement, but it is the muscle testing that people do. So you can press the arm, and there are like 42 muscles you can test, but there's 12 in the basics you work with. And my mom found someone in another city, and I was like, you know what? I will just go there, very skeptical, teenager. My mom found something. But this woman started testing me, and she said, this fear of tests and fear of failure originates when you were 11 months old. Can you go ask your mom what it is about? And I was like, I don't have to go ask my mom, because when I was 11 months old, my father suddenly died. So either the grief from the people around me, or the fact that he was missing all of a sudden, did something into my system that led to me having fear of failure, fear of tests that many years later. And it wasn't like she thought she ringed this lady that like, hey, my daughter failed her exams. And by the way, she lost her father when she was 11. Like, who says that,
Right.
right? She didn't
Right.
know it at all. So I was intrigued that like the subconscious could have so much impact on our whole functioning with everything. So I started to study because speech therapy, because at the time I was so intrigued with kinesiology, but there was no education for it. And who will trust a 21-year-old therapist, right? That's a bit
Right.
young. So I did start with speech therapy. And at the time I discovered I also had a fear of public speaking. I had to
Mm.
stand in front of the room. 99 pairs of eyes were staring at me. And there was this disconnect between my brain and my mouth. I don't know if people listening here recognize that. So up until this day, I don't know what I said in front of that audience. And I was like, it's not very practical. There will be more situations in my studies and in my work. So I did a training for speaking and presenting. It was 10 days. And one of the days we went to a debating club. I loved
Oh.
People were debating in English. There were only two in the Netherlands who were debating in English. And I was just in awe. So I signed up for the debating club. I sat in the benches for 4 weeks. And then they said, come join us. And something changed for me. So I started debating. I became a board member. I saw a cute guy in our fellow club in Rotterdam. And we're together now for 27 years and we debated a lot together as a team. So lots of good things can come from debating. And one of the things was that I felt more confident in front of an audience. I even once we were in the finals, 150 people in the room, and there we were speaking. But still, I had a little bit of this disconnect. So I stood there and like you said, nerves, but big nerves, like peeing 10 times before the fight. Like everyone is in the room and stakes are high. And well, in the end, we won. But it was so nerve-wracking still, but I did have the skill to speak to an audience. But it's very different if you are a debate about emotion, like we should have nuclear energy instead of windmills. Okay, and talk about that for 5 minutes in front of a jury, honing your skills. Or as an entrepreneur, stand in front of an audience and talk about your story, share your training, and speak to the audience. I don't know what's your experience with that. Did you have debating experience or
Yeah,
what?
I definitely didn't have debating experience in the same way as you did. But I'm the youngest child of three girls. So I definitely had to fight my case a lot. But when it came to actually standing on stage, I remember doing that in high school and university where you had to make presentations. And, I had to have, classmates who would be puking in the bathroom. They were so nervous, and then there'd be people who could just like totally own the stage, and you could see that they were owning the stage and they were amazing, and I fell somewhere in the middle of that. Like I was definitely nervous. I didn't love jumping up and down being in front of the audience, but I definitely wasn't puking in the bathroom. So of emotion and physical that comes along with speaking and speaking on stage or pressing play on a video or whatever it is. So, if you had somebody come to you and they were on either end of the spectrum, maybe they were on the spectrum of like, I can't even press play on my video to go live on Facebook, for example, because I feel like I'm going to vomit, or if I'm standing in front of a stage, I feel like, what are some of the things, like, how would you talk to them, or what would you do with them to kind of help them get through some of that? Because obviously we often say, do it messy, do it scared. But if you're puking, I really don't think they're going to get up on stage and do their conversation there. So what are some of the things that you would suggest to do for them?
Yeah, great question. I love that. So the first thing is I wouldn't start live because like it feels like a whole different ballpark, right? So
Mm-hmm.
start small. Start with recording yourself and possibly post it online, but just start talking. So what I usually suggest, like the first time I wanted to make a video, that's in the sort of the later part of my story. So I started giving presentations and I wanted to do video, and I couldn't even get myself to press record, and it wasn't even live. So I couldn't
Right.
even fathom there was such a thing as live. Like the camera was there. I knew what I wanted to say, and I just walked out of the room. I
Right.
was, because it felt to me 10,000 people would watch me on video. Like totally irrational. I mean, you all know how this goes. Like you make a video, you post it on Facebook. If you're scared, you feel like you're puking, you're throwing up, you're like, and then nothing happens. Five
Right.
people saw it, like, but the feeling is like, oh, these people will see it. You're under this magnifying glass. So the best thing I find is to, first of all, like you said, we're having a conversation here, is to picture your best friend or your favorite client, if you have one, and you're just talking to them. Then look for the lens. So where is the lens, the camera lens on your device? You can work on your phone, you can work on your laptop, but just make sure that you know where is the lens of the device, because it's a tiny little dot. And if you look beside it, can you feel the difference in connection? And I don't know if actually I forgot to ask you, is this video shared or just audio?
Yeah, it is
So
videoed. So yes, I could see your eyes shift over
to the
to the
side.
other side. Hmm.
It's the same like when people record a video on their phone and they have this way. So they see themselves and they're looking at themselves. So if they have it portrait, they look down like this, they're looking at themselves. And if they have it turned landscape, they look like this. But there's already a really big shift in connection. If you, can you feel this? If I'm looking
Hmm.
right at you, that makes your videos so much better right away. So
Right.
just picture that the lens is sort of the eye of the person you're talking to. And even I sometimes like to project my energy through that lens as if you're sitting from someone across the table. So you don't need to write a script, because if we would be in the same country, as we're not currently, but I hope someday we will. And
Yeah.
then you are there sitting at a table and I'm sitting here. So the energy sort of like I am arm's length away from my lens, give or take. And if we were sitting across from each other on the table, you would be sitting arm's length behind that. So I like to sort of not stop the energy here in the device, that's different, or like through. So I'm connecting with you through the camera.
Right.
If I would meet you in person, I'm not saying, hi, I'm Elsewine, a confidence trainer from the Netherlands, and I help people feel confident on camera. Like,
Right. Right. You're
but
not
just
doing
like
that at
random
all.
thoughts. I talked from my head, but like, you're not working with a script, right? You're
No.
talking to a real person. So if you just imagine you have a conversation with your favorite person, your best friend or your ideal client, and you're just sharing with them one tip, one idea, and start maybe with your favorite holiday place or your favorite book, and just imagine you're speaking to them, and you are. So many people sort of feel robotic and don't know, like it's just them and the device in a room, right? So
Right.
how do you then connect with your audience? So the easiest way, if you feel you don't, you're like, where do I start? Don't start with live unless that's easy for you. But when you struggle with that, live adds so much pressure to the moment. So start with just recording a video. Picture your favorite person. Picture one topic, like maybe, hey, this is an amazing book that I read. I want to tell you, like, this is what I took away from it. Or something about your work. I mean, any topic that you make a video on, you are the expert. You don't need to write it down, and then just really speak to them as if they are a real person. So what you see now is Lindsay is nodding along as I'm talking. So just picture that person nodding along with what you say. And there is just a time delay between when you say it and they hear it. But you are talking to an actual person. So if you just do that and start with that, so start with short videos, maybe first a book, your favorite holiday place, a hobby that you have, a tip that is from your expertise. So one of the tips I give often is the make eye contact with the camera. I also get a lot of questions about the background. Again, background of, for example, a video could be like, so many people ask me, how should I create my background for my video? What should it be? And they put off making videos because they don't know. And the one
Hmm.
important is the background should be not distracting. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's not distracting. Not a bookshelf, because people start to like, is that the book that I,
Look at the books.
they're looking at, if you're close, if it's far behind, that's okay. But if you stand in front of a bookcase, people don't listen to you. They are distracted by all the titles and like the color. Wait, is that the book I have as well? Or they're just curious, like what kind of books is she reading or is he reading? So that is distracting. If you're outside or if there's like pets or kids or movement or a fan in the top going around, it's distracting. So it doesn't need to be a white wall. It can be a picture as long as it's not distracting. So as you see here with Lindsay, it's a perfect background because it's a very, there's two pictures there. Dried flowers by the looks of it, or is it a painting? But anyway,
Yep.
it's not so prominent. So it is not constantly drawing my attention away from her. So when she's speaking, I'm looking at her, and that is what you want. So that like I was going off on a little tangent here, but just in under 60 seconds, you could talk about a topic in your expertise. So it's
Yeah.
really easy to start that way and just speak to your favorite person and post it online. Don't take your videos again and again and again. I speak to so many people who say, I did 20 takes and I shared the second one or even the first one because videos
Right.
don't get better the more you do it. Actually, it gets worse. So 3 takes tops if there's really something that you feel like, oh, this is not working, but 1 or 2 takes and then pick the best one. And the best one is the one when you look back and you feel like, oh, I want to take this action, or oh, I like her. Like it's this feeling. It's not about the least ums and ahs or like the most perfect. There is no such thing as a perfect video. Even for me, after 12 years of doing videos, my videos are not perfect. They're real. And real is better than
Mhm.
perfect. So just
Yes,
if
I
you make
love that.
videos, like which one makes you feel the best and post that one. So that
Yeah,
is
no, I love it because even before we press record on here, one of the things that I say about this show is that I just want people to feel like they're sitting in a coffee shop with us having a conversation. And that feels very different than, hello, I'm here to teach you all of these things. That feels very different. The other thing that I really loved what you said there is talk about something that you love. And everybody, I'm sure you can come up with a thought in your head about this. When you're talking to somebody, and it happens with me a lot, and I mean, we've talked about this a lot, in terms of just like the hiking on the trails and stuff. But if I say something that is interesting to somebody else, their entire being changes. They smile in their eyes. They're excited to talk about what it is. And that's what she's saying. So if you can have something, and we all have it, it has nothing to do with work. Like we were talking about hiking. I could say that about triathlon. There's so many things that I could just get, my kids are another one, I live in Mexico and I love talking about Mexico, like all these things that can kind of get you excited. They have nothing to do with what I do for work or nothing to do with what we do, in our business, but the mood changes completely when you start talking about it. And so if you're worried, and I love this advice, do just a quick video on something that you absolutely love, talking to somebody you absolutely love, because it changes how you are, right? And then that feeling, that kind of oomph that you've got, then switched, and I know we were talking about this. I don't even know if it was the last time we were chatting or before. It's like you press record and then you press record again because you're already in that moment. Because I just talked about hiking on the Camino Trail, and now I'm going to tell about a tip or trick from my business, and all of a sudden I'm borrowing the energy of talking about something I love, and I'm bringing it over here now to talk about something that I wanted to talk about in the first place. And so that's such a huge part of it, because everybody watches videos where it's very scripted and very robotic, and then people watch videos where they're just there's no energy and no excitement and no emotion. You're just kind of like, and I know for me, I'm like, my instant thought is, are you like that in real life? Like, is that really who you are? Because I don't know if that would be fun for me. Like, and all of a sudden I'm not even listening to what you're saying anymore. I'm like going off on it. It's like kind of like what you said about the bookshelf. I'm like off on something, so I always joke, like I talk with my hands. I'm very animated. I get excited. I say I'm like a fire hose because I'm just like really quickly, but that's who I am in real life. And so for me to bring that to camera is my natural state. Right. So I get excited. I get emotional. I get, animated, and I get excited. But I think the more I can do that on video, the more it is true to me. And as you said, I don't go on a script because for me, that's not how I am in normal life, right? I sometimes swear, I sometimes fuck up, I sometimes say things I shouldn't say, which is why the other reason I don't edit these, so that because I want you to feel like you're just sitting here having a coffee with us. And it would be really strange if all of a sudden something was paused and we rewound and we started again in real life. That doesn't happen. So I love that. So let me ask you this. So years and years and years ago, I remember hearing this, and you don't hear it nearly as much. And I'm wondering if there's a kind of a change in dynamic or thought process with this. But they used to say, picture that person naked in the front of
Oh
the
my,
studio. So tell
that
me
is
about
like the
that.
worst advice. So remind me, I will come back on the hand thing, but this is like one of my big pet peeves. Like I have had so many people say, and I worked with them in person a lot here in the Netherlands and online. They are visual people. So they
Right.
stand on in front of an audience and now picture everyone naked and they forget what they're going to say. Oh my gosh, they get like this, "Ah, everybody's naked. Ah,
I
so
know. I
they
never understood it. I never understood why I would want to, like, first of all, why would I want to picture somebody naked? And damn, that's distracting. If somebody was actually naked in the middle of my presentation, I would be remembering what I was saying. So I just find it
go.
interesting that that's what was told to us years and years ago. And I guess my question is, first of all, if you know why, I'm curious. And two, why doesn't that work?
I think if I were to have a guess why that would work, it would sort of be like I feel uncomfortable in front of an audience, but if I am the only person dressed and they're all naked, then they feel
Oh,
uncomfortable or something like there's some weird twisted, I don't know, psychology stuff going on right there. Like I am a very visual person, so sometimes I laugh at something my husband says, and he's like, "What are you, 12?" But it's just because I see it happening in front of my eyes, and his brain works different. Sometimes we talk about that, very funny, because we often think like how it works for us is how it works for everyone, and that is not the case.
not
So I
true.
am a very visual person. So if he says something, I just see it happening in front of my eyes, and sometimes that's really funny. But if I would imagine everyone in like if oh I could well maybe like with the techniques I have now I could sort of work my way through. But if I would actually picture everyone naked, I think I would leave the stage. I would just like, no, this is not. I mean, not that there's something wrong with naked, like its bodies, but it is feels so out of place and so
Mm-hmm.
unfamiliar. It's not something we're used to or that we do a lot. So yeah, no,
Yeah.
I think that is why. And I like, and talking about bad advice, you just mentioned your hands. So, as you notice, I use my hands a lot. And I actually saw that for the first time when I recorded myself giving a live training. And I was like, oh, my hands are going all over the place. And I didn't even know because that is me. So, one of my clients got the advice once to sit on their hands so that she wouldn't use them on video. And I already can feel like the restraint in my chest here, in my throat. And it doesn't work that way. It doesn't mean that you need to speak with your hands. If you are, some people just have their hands
Yeah,
in
they
front of
don't.
them. They don't move their hands. So don't go looking at our videos here and we are like oh, all over the place. And you feel like, oh, I should now move my hands because then you're back in your head. You're not present in the moment. You're only thinking about when, oh, wait, I should move my hands. No, you should just be yourself and speak to your audience. So that is the thing that I think is making the difference. So never use your hands in a way that that's not natural to you. So
Right.
I once years ago I did a 5-day video challenge and one of the guys there was Italian and he semi-jokingly offered me an Italian passport because I moved my hands so much. But I said to everyone, like, this is not the way to do video. It's how I am. It's how I speak on stage. It's how I talk with people. I use my hands. And if you do, fine. And if you don't. So
Yes.
that is really
I love
important.
that. I love
And we
that. And I think it's so important. Sorry, I was
yeah.
just gonna say, I think it's so
No.
important when you say that because, you know, anybody who says you have to do it one way and one way only is really not the person to be listening to, because the reality is everybody is different, right? Like you say, if you're a hand mover, cool. If you're not a hand mover, that's fine. If you speak with your eyes, or you don't speak with your eyes, or your body moves, or whatever it is, I don't think anybody should be turning around and saying this is the one way and one way only. Everybody's going to be a little bit different, and that's the beauty of what makes us who we are. And when it comes back to what you said about being who you are on camera is like being who you are with your best friend or your partner or whoever. I know exactly how I act with them, right? And that's the same way as I act on camera. And so to try to change that, not only are you back in your head again, as you said, but you're also being very false. I mean, I often get people say to me, if they ever do meet me in real life, which doesn't happen as much since I've been in Mexico now for the last 8 years, but they're like, wow, you're the exact same. And I'm like, yeah, of course I am, because when I present myself, that is who I am. Yeah, you might catch me doing like breakdancing moves or singing at the top of my lungs out there with my family sometimes, which I don't necessarily always do online. But for the most part, I am who I am, because that's how I want you to feel. I want you to feel like you know me, you know who I am, you know how I work, like how crazy I am sometimes, how fast I talk, because that's how I do it in real life. And I think that's a super, super important one. So for you to turn around and say, like, you can work with your hands, you don't have to work with your hands. That to me is such a big green flag, as I call it, I guess, opposite of a red flag, because it is so important to be you, authentically you, on video or not.
Yeah, and that is like what my whole business is about, helping people more themselves. And in the very beginning, you mentioned like own your stage. And funnily enough, that is how I've labeled my big program that I work with people with, to own your stage, whatever that stage is, to help people get out of their head and overthinking and really be present. So I have a whole set. So very in a nutshell, I mentioned I felt uncomfortable on stage. I started giving training and I had experience, but I still felt too uncomfortable. So people said like, oh, you take complicated matter and can explain it to us in a very good and understandable way, which was at the time a combination of kinesiology and nutrition orthomolecular therapy. So I was doing for a couple of years training on that, but I still felt uncomfortable. I couldn't sleep the day before. And when I wanted to do a video training to reach more people, like I said, first time I couldn't even get myself to press record, which is the moment when I found feminine presence, a training that I later became a licensed trainer in, and I integrated it with my debating skills, with speech therapy, with kinesiology into the confidence creation framework that I help people with to really own their stage, whether it's speaking to one person, pitching your services, or speaking on the stage, whatever, to a big audience. It comes down to that, how to be yourself and not put on mannerisms, not on have on a mask. So many people who do training on public speaking say like, hold your hands like this, move, and then you must use the whole stage. So you stand here, you look there, you take 20 steps to the left, and then when you do all that, not only are you focused on what am I saying, but you're focused on all the other things that actually don't matter. Because what matters is that you connect with your audience, that you are real, that you are yourself, that you feel comfortable and confident in that place, and you can share with your audience. And I have worked a lot with experienced speakers too, like lawyers, debaters, even speaker trainers who came to me for exactly this element. And one of the things I do is I work with them. I have them give like a 1 minute speech about something, doesn't matter what. Then we do the first exercise, and it's only the first of many to get you out of your head and being present. And with these good speakers, at first I'm like, they're good speakers. Why are they even here? But then we do the presence exercise and they get out of their head and out of their mannerisms and out of their routine of like, oh, they're always speaking so funny and always doing this. And they get real. And that is where the magnetic things happen. Like I have had like literally felt my jaw drop in a couple of moments. And I noticed too that when you speak from your head, it can even be entertaining and so fun. And they're walking out of the room and like, oh, it was such an inspiring speaker. What were they talking about? Yeah, I don't know. I forgot already. Whereas when you speak from presence, people remember your message. You touch them it is such a difference, even for experienced speakers, but
Yeah.
also for people who feel uncomfortable, like you said just before, who are just cannot get themselves to even think about making a video or even think about doing that presentation to a group of clients, or they go networking and here's the soapbox, impromptu, who wants to stand up on the soapbox, and everyone is looking like, not me, not me. How about you could just sink into the moment, say sure, you step on the soapbox and you can speak to your whole full room of your idle audience. Like, that would
Yeah.
be amazing,
Wow.
right?
It'd be
So
such a difference. Yeah, such a difference. Well, and I love it so much because as you said, when it comes to, entrepreneurs, business owners, coaches, fill in the blank of whatever it is your business is. Even though a lot of people say to me, they're like, I just want to coach, or I just want to whatever. I don't want to sell. I don't want to stand on stage. I don't want to do all those things. And that's fair play. I mean, obviously we say do what you want to do, but part of it is the networking. Part of it is, doing your video and your content and stuff, because we live in a world right now where people need to see who you are, right? I live in an AI world, so I know how important it is to humanize ourselves as well as have the AI, images out there. So when I go on live, they're not only just going to see who I am and what I look like in real life, they're going to get to know me. They're going to get to, hopefully like and trust me. And if they don't, even cooler, because then they're not going to be my ideal client anyways. But you're in this place where you're getting to really give people who you are and what you're all about. And so for those people who are like, oh, I really don't want to, I'm not really sure, video and speaking on stage is probably one of the fastest ways to get to that know, like, and trust phase, right? We know each other through a networking group. And in that networking group, we do an all day Wednesday networking event. And in that group, we are on camera together and you get to know somebody. And then you have a coffee chat and you get to know somebody. And then now you'll see one of my lives, or I'll see one of your lives. And all of a sudden, it feels like I'm having coffee with you in the middle of, some cafe in the Netherlands. Who knows where we are? At some point we'll be there. But it feels more real than typing, reading a message, potentially looking at an email. And don't get me wrong, I love all those pieces of a business as well. But video and live communication, or lives on Facebook, or within a networking group, in person or virtually, it takes you into another level of business. And I think that's what you teach. And I think that's so important. And so if anybody's watching, and we've either described you a little bit with the whole nerves thing, the puking thing, the unsure about yourself thing, you definitely want to reach out. So if people are looking to find out about you, more about your business and what you offer, where would they find that?
yeah, so I will give you the link for my website where there's some information. There's some like a free PDF with my 7 best video tips. There is a webinar that I did that's a little bit more geared towards the speaking, not so much the video. My book. I also have a course that people can take in just 10 days, taking from camera shy to camera ready. And if they are interested, they can reach out to me, because sometimes people love to combine that with personal. And some people feel like you just said, no one is the same, right? So some people are like, oh, give me just the information. I had a guy go through it in a weekend, and then he said like, oh gosh, I've been waiting for this. Something held me back, and now I'm not only making videos, I'm creating my own video course. And other people are like, oh, but I really love your feedback. And so there's a combination. And I'm now working with someone who is like, I don't like to watch videos, and I want to work with you and just do it on Zoom and work through the things together, because that works better for me. So I have all the options. So I have like the course, a combination, or just the one-on-ones, how people can work with me. So I will give you the link. I'm also on LinkedIn, a bit more. So as you know, as you're watching, like you're entrepreneurs, right? So it helps to have your marketing focus on one thing. So at currently it is leaders in tech and banking, but obviously if someone is not a leader or not in tech and banking or whatever, I still work with them if I feel they are the right fit and I can really help them. So that is really yeah, so they can work with me. And I just wanted to get back to what you just said before, because that is so essential, that you will save so much time. First of all, you're more visible, so you will attract the right type of clients to you. And sometimes it could happen if you just have your written context there and maybe you write with the help of AI, or maybe you hire a copywriter, or it is just your style of writing. You have a nice picture and someone feels like, oh, that could be the person for me. And then they show up on a get to know you call and they're like, ooh, no, I'm never going to work with this person. How about they decided that will decide that after watching your video? It saves them the time, specifically, it saves you the time of having conversations with people who never intend to buy from you anyway, once they get to know you. They might be put off by swearing, and Lindsay says, I swear a lot. I mean, that's fine. We're not for everyone. But the
Nope.
people who actually do resonate with you will feel so much more drawn to you because they know who you are, and because Lindsay is wearing, like, oh yes, that's my type of person, and I love her personality, and I love her jokes, and I love her accent, and I love the way she talks about things, and it's so clear to me and so inspiring. So that is what I want. So that is actually a way to establish that. And as a bonus, you will have people refer you to other people without working with you themselves. I have,
Right.
like, there was a time I now regularly share videos on LinkedIn still, but I have had a client who came from someone else who watched my video content. So he knew what I was doing. And he was like, I trust her. You just mentioned like the no like trust factor. I will refer to this person and they can have a conversation and then see if that works out to work together or not. But they didn't work themselves with me. And I feel this is a level you can never reach by content alone
Mm-hmm.
because it
Mm-hmm.
is different. But if some people feel like, yeah, I'm not doing videos, or I'm not working on speaking, or even I don't have an issue with that. But I see what she's doing, what she's bringing, and I just heard my friend, my neighbor, my colleague say something about this, and then I remembered, wait a minute, I keep seeing these videos. You should go check her out and see if this is something for you. And then they come to your profile and they read what you do and they watch your videos and they can decide will they reach out or not. So that is an
Yes.
added bonus. So there's so many amazing things. So you will attract the right people and the wrong people won't even contact you. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
not everyone who contacts you will become a client, but it will never be because of the reason that they don't gel with who you are as a personality, because they
Right.
already know you as a person. There can be various other reasons. Your price range can be not for them, or timing, or whatever it will be, but it won't be because they're like, "Oh, you're so different."
Right.
Unless, like, so your video, like you said, Lindsay, your video should be you, and then you show up on the Zoom call and it's you again. So then
Right.
that is never the issue. And then as a bonus, so you're more visible, people start talking about you. And as the extra bonus, even non-clients will start to refer you because they feel they know you. So I hope
Yes. I
that's
love it. Yeah, I love it. I love it so much. And we'll have in the show notes for sure somewhere, you will have how to connect, all the LinkedIn information, all that stuff. So you guys can take a look if you do feel pulled to, as well as, taking a look at some of the PDFs and some of the different opportunities for working with. It will all be there. So don't worry if you are pulled and love the idea of getting to know more. I will put it all in the show notes. But thank you so much for joining us today. I'm super excited. It's like 10 p.m. now, almost 11 p.m. your time. So I always appreciate you coming in, being here and showing up. And I appreciate you very much. But thank you so much, guys. And if you are interested, definitely click some of the links somewhere below and get connected because, as I said, video is such an important part of our strategy. And I really hope that you can take from what we talked about today and implement it somewhere into your own business strategy as well. Anyways, good night. And we'll speak to you guys next week. All right. Take care. Bye.
bye.